Let's be real. Do you ever feel like you need a secret decoder ring just to figure out if someone actually likes you back? Yeah, you are definitely not alone. The whole world of modern dating can feel like this huge maze of mixed signals and unspoken rules. So let's just dive in and see if we can make sense of it all. Okay, first up, let's talk about a word you've probably heard, or maybe even lived through, the situationship. It's that weird, confusing space where you're clearly more than just friends, but you're not exactly a couple. You hang out, you talk, maybe more, but that one simple question that could clear everything up. So, what are we? Feels like it's completely forbidden. And trust me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. We've basically created a whole new dictionary for this stuff, right? You've got ghosting, where someone just vanishes, cookie jarring, where you're basically being kept on the back burner, and of course the infamous Netflix and chill. It's all just code. It seems like we'll do just about anything to avoid saying what we actually mean. So that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? With all these games and all this code, how on earth are you supposed to know if someone's interest is for real or if you're just, well, another cookie in their jar? So where do we even begin to look for the answer? Well, it actually starts way before the first text message is even sent. Let's forget about the "what are we" question for a minute and instead ask, what is their body telling me? It's time to start decoding those unspoken signals. Now, here is something that totally flips the script on what most of us were taught. We usually think it's the guy's job to make the first move, right? But what the research actually suggests is that it's often women who give the subtle green light that kicks the whole thing off, all without saying a single word. And get this, researchers have actually documented this whole little dance. It usually starts with a scan of the room, and then her eyes lock onto someone. Once she knows she's been noticed, you'll see a smile, a quick look away, and then, and this is the key part, she looks back. From there, you might see her fix her hair or uncross her arms. It's basically a nonverbal invitation, and it is incredibly powerful. Okay, but we've all been there, wondering, is that laugh genuine or are they just being nice? The secret is to stop looking for one single sign and to start looking for clusters of them. You see, genuine interest often shows up with relaxed, real laughter and an open posture. Maybe they're even mirroring your movements. If their arms are crossed and they're constantly looking around the room, that's a very different signal than if they're leaning in closer and holding your gaze. And check this out. One study found something pretty incredible. It wasn't the most conventionally beautiful person in the room who got approached the most often. Nope. It was the person who sent the clearest signals. Women who actively showed their interest were approached way more. It just goes to show you what you do matters so much more than how you look. All right, so we've covered the in-person stuff, but let's be honest, so much of dating today plays out on our phones. So let's shift gears and talk about the digital world. What do those texts and DMs really mean? So what are the digital green flags? Well, experts and people all over Reddit seem to agree on a few key things. Think of it like a little checklist. Are they the ones starting the conversations, or is it always you? Are their replies pretty consistent? Do they ask you real thoughtful questions and actually remember the little details you told them? And maybe, just maybe, the biggest one of all, are they trying to make actual plans to see you in the real world? And that brings us to a super important rule of modern dating. As dating coach Christopher Lewis points out, texting should really just be a bridge to get to a real date, not the destination itself. If someone is truly into you, they'll want to meet you. If a text conversation just drags on for weeks and weeks with no actual plan in sight, that's a huge red flag that it's probably not going anywhere. And hey, this isn't just a theory. There's this great story from a Reddit user who was totally stuck in what he called texting purgatory. All the signals were there, quick replies, fun conversations, but he was just too scared to make a move. He finally decided to send what he called the risky text and just asked her out. And the result? A relationship that lasted for over 3 years. It's just a great reminder that sometimes you gotta be the one to take the leap. Okay, so you're armed with body language cues, you've got your digital green flags, you should be an expert now, right? Well, here's the twist. There's actually a scientific reason why, even with all this information, we still get it wrong so often. So here's something that psychological studies find over and over again. On average, men tend to mistake a woman's simple friendliness for romantic or sexual interest. But that's just an average. It's not true for everyone. So the real question becomes, why are some people more likely to make this mistake than others? To figure that out, researchers came up with something they called the confluence model. Now, that sounds complicated, but it's basically just a framework for identifying a specific combination of personality traits that makes someone much more likely to misread social cues and see interest where it doesn't actually exist. This model really boils it down to two main factors. First, there's something called hostile masculinity. You can think of someone who is generally distrustful of women and tends to see every interaction as a kind of power play. The second factor is a preference for impersonal sex, basically seeing most social interactions mainly as a chance for a casual hookup. The model shows that when a person scores high in both of these traits, they are far, far more likely to misinterpret simple friendliness as a sexual invitation. So, we've looked at body language, we've looked at texting, and we've even looked at the psychology of why we get it wrong. What's the ultimate takeaway here? How do we finally move from reading signals to getting some actual clarity? Well, here it is. This is the big secret. You have to stop looking for that one perfect, magical sign. There's no single smile or special emoji that's going to give you the answer. The real key is to shift your entire focus. Stop overanalyzing single moments and start looking for patterns of consistent behavior over time. The expert we mentioned earlier, Christopher Lewis, sums it up perfectly. He says, don't just focus on one thing, like a laugh. Instead, zoom out. Are they also leaning in? Is their body turned towards you? Are their texts also quick and consistent? When you start combining all those cues together, that's when you finally get out of the guessing game and you can start to see the whole picture. And that kind of brings us full circle, doesn't it? After all the decoding and all the signal reading, what if the most confident, most attractive move of all isn't some subtle cue, but just clear, direct, and respectful communication? In a world that is so full of guesswork, maybe just being clear is the ultimate power move.